Do you like the north of England? Would you like to spend a couple of days doing nothing but playing board games, eating great food, in the presence of fantastic people, some well-known faces from board game media, and potentially Matthew Jude smelling great? Then come to AireCon between the 13th to 15th of March next year. Tickets and more information are available on their website. That's aircon.co.uk and also in the links in the show notes. And now, on with the show. Welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for October. Sometimes the things are okay. Sometimes you could say things are going quite well. Sometimes you might decide that what you're going to do is you're going to reward yourself. You're going to settle back. You're going to have yourself a nice little drink. And then on the other things kind of don't go so well. You could even say that there might be arguments, there might be disagreements, things just might kind of maybe end up on the rocks. So, with that in mind, joining me today, I have Christina, I have Michael Pittre from PenTree Games who are here to talk about On the Rocks. Hello, you lovely people.
Hello, you lovely person.
Hey, Richard.
How are you today?
Good, man.
How's it going? Are you good?
As good as we can.
I just wanted to check because I know that you sometimes have a difficulty pressing the button at the right time. So I just
it happens. You just can't put a red button in front of me because I will push and it's just gonna happen.
Oh, Michael.
World will explode. Michael, don't do it.
The reason that we're here is we're here to talk about, as I say, we're here to talk about your newly launched Kickstarter, kind of On the Rocks. We're here to talk about yourselves, kind of as a couple, putting this game out there onto market. But first of all, Michael, do you want to tell us the quick story about the Kickstarter and its launch?
Okay, so we're waiting for approval from Kickstarter, and it came in. We're like, yes, it's here, we got it. Yes, let's get all the special tools and the new things to play with and promote the game. So for some reason, I thought the button said promote, but I guess it said prepare to launch, and I launched it about a day early. So so yeah, this is where we're at right now. So as soon as I hit that button, it popped up. You're live. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I look at it. I look at my wife, I'm like, Christina. She's like, what? I'm like, it's go time. We're live. And she looks at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever felt so much rage before till that moment. I think we were like 99.9% done. A little bit, maybe like another 6 hours of things to fix before we were ready to launch. And then it was like go time, like take a swig of drink, we got to go now. And it was just intense for like 6 hours of fixing things.
And honestly, guys, an angry Puerto Rican woman is the scariest thing on this earth. So do not make your wife angry.
Don't make me mad.
In all fairness, Christina, did you expel all of your disappointment and rage?
No, there was no time for that.
Or are you kind of holding this back to kind of feed it out in little kind of bite-sized drips as time goes on, So, if he's 5 minutes late from coming in from getting the groceries or something, you could say, you're 5 minutes late. And you started our Kickstarter 24 hours early. And is this going to be like when you're an old greying couple and you turn around to him, look him lovingly in the eyes and say, go and make us some tea, honey. And he says, oh, actually, my back's really sore. And she goes, well, that's fine, but remember that you started our Kickstarter 24 hours early. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm away.
I'm definitely going to have to use this for everything going forward.
But when we fund, it's going to be like, I planned this, babe. We're good. We made it. Mm-hmm. It was all meant to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I don't think my heart stopped for like 5 seconds.
I'm just saying I'm 6,000 miles away and I'm still quite scared being here. I know that physically you cannot get near me in any way, shape or form, but I am going to go, solidarity.
I don't know. Maybe one of these game conventions I might see you one of these days and it's going down.
What's mood like in camp at the moment though? Because to set the kind of the way back clock, you launched On the Rocks earlier in the year, and you decided to kind of cancel and cancel the funding and gather yourselves back, and I guess kind of designed to kind of go out and attack again. So you've launched again now, and things, you're over 50% of the way there. So how are you feeling about things at the moment in terms of the Kickstarter?
I'm excited the way everything has been turning out right now we're pretty much on pace with beating our record where we were at last time. I think in 2 days during the last campaign, we got to like $12,000. And at this point, we're at around $15,000, which is over 50%. And it's just glad that things worked out, even with the mistakes that were made. We'll forget about that for now. Things are rolling, and the community has been great with it. And I was honest with them about what happened, and people messaged me after 10 years of backing so many campaigns, I never saw this before, and I guess that they like that we're just transparent and being honest with it. But our first campaign, we were having some struggles, especially during the midway point where things were just really getting slow, and it was really hard to pick up backers at that time. And
convention month, basically.
Yeah, Gen Con popped up a week after our campaign, and then us launching in July, which was a massive month on Kickstarter. I think there was 5 campaigns that made over $1 million a piece. Our game just got lost in everything that was going on. So
floating
yeah, and a lot of Kickstarter creators messaged me, and they even gave us advice that you guys should relaunch, and they felt that our game would do better on a relaunch. And so we took their advice. We went back. I worked with the manufacturers to try to bring down the price a little bit to help out, try to find better pricing internationally for shipping. And it seems to be working. And I'm personally very happy so far.
Me too. I'm proud of where we are right now. And all the stuff we've did to get here, so I'm definitely excited where it's going, and everyone's been so nice and just kind of funny about the error that we had, but it still has been going really well, and I just hope it keeps going this way. It's been nice.
I think it's a recognised thing though nowadays. I don't think, speaking to the number of people I do that run Kickstarters, people kind of having to cancel a campaign when they're aware that it's just not going to fund to the level that they need it to fund, and then going back again just seems to be a stage in a lot of people's kind of Kickstarter journeys, and especially considering how competitive the market is, and the fact that there used to be, in all honesty, there used to maybe be about 3 or 4 big projects for Kickstarter kind of that year that everybody would steer clear of because they knew it was going to bring in the mega bucks. And yet, in this year already, we've had Critical Role kind of running big campaigns. We've had Simon running big campaigns. There's been some guys that have just swept in and done a couple of million from absolutely kind of nowhere. So, it's a case of, you almost have to kind of grit your teeth and just jump in with both feet, and see kind of what kind of happens. I mean, I want to obviously talk about kind of the gameplay behind kind of On the Rocks itself, but in terms of kind of tabletop and the hobby in general, is it something that you two have kind of done together as a couple for a while, or was it something that Christina did first and Michael came in later? I mean, how is that hobby been kind of part of your lives together?
Well, together, so originally I started playing a lot of games, but then once we got engaged, we wanted to just start saving money, and we felt that, okay, let's get some board games so we're not going out spending all this money, because we're trying to save money for a wedding. And that's when we found a couple board games that we fell in love with. Our very first purchase was Pandemic. I picked it up at Target because there was a sale going on. So I brought it back home and we started playing it. And we'd never played a cooperative game ever before. And we fell in love with being able to actually play a game together. I mean, we never did this before. I mean, Christina grew up playing Parcheesi?
My favorite, Parcheesi.
And I played chess, so we always played competitive games.
Such a great game. Sorry.
And then from there I looked for more cooperative games, and we ended up finding Forbidden Island, and that game it's still a fabulous game. I mean, if nobody's played it, it's a game that's like $10 now. It's definitely worth to have in your collection. I love it. And then after that was Ticket to Ride, and then we really started getting really into these modern board games at that time, and the competitiveness with Ticket to Ride, it definitely stood out because there was times where we actually played with my father-in-law and my sister-in-law, and just to see when you block that individual's path of them trying to get to the city they wanted, and how upset they get. Like I actually enjoyed that. So, but it was just so much fun, these new modern games. And then from there we just continued to start collecting and playing more board games. So us trying to save money for the wedding wasn't as easy as we would want to have been, but because we found board games. But it's.
Did you? Sorry, I was going to say, did you get the other members of the family involved then? Because you mentioned kind of the other members of the family kind of getting. So did it become like a bigger family thing where people coming round, you just weren't having a sit around and discussing kind of what was happening in the family? You know, you would say, well, does everybody want to do you want to have a game of Ticket to Ride or something like that? And it became like a bigger kind of family kind of group activity.
It has. I mean, now when we go over to my in-laws' house, they ask like, what games you got this time? Because we usually bring over the games.
We just bring over games.
And I'm the individual who has to read all the rules and teach everybody how to play the game, and then get frustrated when somebody's not actually listening to the rules and ask me how to play the game 10 minutes later. But yeah, like, our family, we like easier, quicker games that we could finish up in about 10, 15 minutes as a family. Like, what was it? Happy Salmon, Just One. There's a lot of party games that they actually enjoyed, and there's a bunch of other ones like Wits and Wagers and things of that sort. But my in-laws and our family just loves to play the quicker, simple games. But then we once we started creating our game, they saw that there was a little bit more complexity to some of these games, and they ended up liking some of these harder games that take a little bit longer than 15, 20 minutes, 45 minutes.
Was there did you have quite a reasonably sized collection before you kind of sat down and went, actually, let's put something together ourselves? I mean, and was that a joint decision, or was that something that you guys, See,
I think he found like Kickstarter a long time ago, and like eventually we get like one package here and there, and I never noticed it because I guess he put it right away downstairs, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, "Oh, babe, here, play a game with me." I think it was Zombicide. And then that was one of his favorite Kickstarters, I think, at the time. And then I was like, wow, this is a great game. And then all of a sudden, I swear, from Zombicide, we just had like a bunch of just like boxes coming every week. And then our basement is now just flooded. Just a bunch of games. I can't even count how many we have.
Well, we're about 200 now. But being fair, we had we had a couple shelves that were already built in the basement.
That's true.
And there was we had one full shelf that was full. And Christina did say that we need more games to fill this out. So I mean, she told me that I could buy them. So
did I?
Yes. So I went all out. I was like, Kickstarter, back you. It's like Christmas it was Christmas like every week at one point, because there was like a new game on our porch every week.
I honestly didn't realize how many games we backed until I started working on our On the Rocks Kickstarter page, and we had to I shared his profile, and then I see how many games he actually bought. I'm like, Michael!
I'm sorry, I couldn't hide it. It's like I can't delete the history.
No, you cannot. It's just hilarious. It's like trying to hide this from me. Eventually, we'll find out. You'll always find out.
Did you get to sit down and play them? I mean, while we're obviously in the middle of doing the professional thing, is there anything else you want to say, Michael? Do you no, in seriousness, do you get a chance to kind of like play them, or are you at the point which I feel a lot of people are at, which they're saying, well, I'm backing Kickstarter less, I'm more choosy about what I back, and I'm making sure that if I'm not playing games, I'm starting to kind of, sell them out the door, to kind of trim down the collection, to almost kind of curate it to what I know I will play and enjoy.
I mean, I do want to sell them, and I believe me, there's all intention to sell them, but I think it's just gonna hurt too much to sell them. So I haven't done it yet. But we do find opportunity to play as many as we can. I mean, it's definitely a lot harder to start playing games when you're actually designing your own game, because most of your efforts and time is going into designing your game, working on the illustrations, because Christina did all the artwork for this game. So it's been a lot harder for both of us to sit down and play the game together. So either I'll find the time to go out there and meet people at the game stores and talk to them about our game, as well as play games with other individuals, and travel to the conventions and play games. So over the past year, I got to play a lot more games than Christina has. But out of our collection, we've played a few of them. But right now, I'm not backing as many Kickstarters as I used to. Kickstarters I'm backing now are more from individuals and other designers that I've met over the year or so, and I'm trying to support them to help them complete their goal and make their dream come true of getting a game on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of kind of getting the game out there and kind of the playtesting side of things, was that a strange thing, kind of going from, well, let's play this game, and everybody's like, well, either I am playing this game because I know it, or I'm not playing this game because I've played it and I don't like it, to you actually saying, look, here's something I made we've made together ourselves. I mean, was it easy to get kind of play tested? Did you have to did you go to the same groups, or did you reach out to kind of groups that you hadn't been to try and solicit kind of play testing feedback?
Well, there's a thing called Pub in our area, and they host events every pretty much every winter and spring, and then there's smaller pub groups and other local design groups that we will meet up with the play test with. So it really isn't that hard in the Philadelphia area to actually find some play testing and get help with it. And then just there's meetup groups for board games, and if you go in there and say, hey, I got a game I would like to work on, and these are individuals that you know that they'll be willing to sit down and play. And so we've done a lot of play testings from individuals that we haven't known. The pubs that would be at larger conventions like PAX Unplugged, PAX East, Origins. We got a lot of feedback during those times. So we were lucky that we're in an area that has a large board game community, a lot of board game designers, and that are willing to sit down and actually work on your game, tear it apart, help you rebuild it back up again.
It's really helpful making a game what it is today. So that's really nice.
Did you have you done artwork for other projects then, Christina? I mean, is that what you?
No, this is my first game ever. I never in a million years thought I'd be making a board game, let alone creating our own board game. But no, this is my first board game I ever created. I'm personally a graphic designer, so I don't know. Just kind of happened, really.
I mean, the artwork's fairly stunning. I don't think it just happened. It's not like you just accidentally. I was like, look what I did. I just managed to spill some really good artwork all over this piece of paper. I mean,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Christina's done an amazing job. I mean, from where we first started off from just the basic designing and the different iterations of the entire On the Rocks. I mean, if you go through our Instagram pictures, you'll actually see how much the game has changed from the original time we actually designed it.
Different, a lot different.
Yeah.
Different themes we used to go play around with, but now it's settled into more of a clubby kind of theme, I guess, the way it looks at the end. But I'm really happy with how it came out. It was a hard time figuring it out, but it definitely was a fun experience to do, and I'm happy to do it again, or help others as well. That'd be pretty cool to help someone else in their board game. To be asked to do that would be really
That's cool. A really subtle way of saying Christina would like some more graphic design and illustration work within the industry. So if you're listening to this, you can reach out to her in the links that we'll put in the show notes at the end of the show, because it's very striking. And I remember seeing posts on the various Facebook groups of people going, have you looked at this? And people say, no, I don't know. And it's like, look at it was very clean looking. And the other thing that I think that caught people's attention was people go absolutely kind of bat crazy for kind of bowls full of marbles, don't they? I mean, they go a bit kind of like, they like it. If you put any game seems to be improved by getting little marbles that you can put in cut out bits on a board, kind of thing. And that was one of the things that people kind of kept on talking about. Was that something that consciously, was that in there from the beginning, or was that something that you kind of brought in mechanically kind of later on?
I mean, the marbles have always been a part of the game. We always wanted to do a recipe for filming a game, and we wanted something to stand out while it was on the table. And there's games that you'll see that have used the same type of look, and it's always been appealing to the eye. And so that was something we felt that type of mechanic, or just the way that component looked, will work very well for our game. So marbles have always been a part of On the Rocks. The bowls themselves came on at a later time when we were trying to find the right combination of game types or game mechanics to make it work. And that Mancala feel of the bowls came probably 5 or 6 months later after the first time. So
after one of the playtesting probably came too.
Yeah, and if we felt that it just needed to be more to the game, because originally it used to be just a pull of bag, just pulling the marbles out of the bag, and if they matched your match your ingredients, you will place them. But then that was it. The game was very boring at that time, and we felt that it just needed more. And then we found this next layer of the game, and to help develop it, and that's where the bowls came on later on to make the game where it is now.
Because needed more strategy. It was a little simple in the beginning, and then before you used to just basically draft the marbles from the bag and put it directly onto your player board, taking on the bad and good marbles, and it wasn't exactly that fun. So we need a little more strategy in distributing the bad and or good marbles, and that's when the bowls came too. So that's definitely helped in the game.
With you, obviously being quite close, was it easier for you to give feedback to each other in terms of what was working and what wasn't working? I mean, I'm obviously aware when you get like a partnership, there's the kind of the if there isn't kind of like a closer connection as you two have, there's usually a case of, well, I'm going to say about maybe 75% of what I want to say, because the 25% is just me saying I really, really don't like this thing. Were you quite kind of open to say, look, this isn't working, Christina, or this isn't working, Michael, we need to kind of change this up? So were you more accepting of the feedback that you got from each other, basically?
I definitely think so. We we always had these things called, we recorded our sessions all the time, just either the voices, and we basically played out what we thought would make it better or what he thought would make it better, and we would kind of play out each person's idea of what would make the game better. And if we didn't like it, be like, yeah, no, that didn't work, but at least we tried it. So we definitely did pay attention to one another to see if we can feed off of our ideas. So yeah, I definitely think we were open 100%, and many times he has told me that makes no sense whatsoever, but that's okay, I get it.
He did the same to me.
Whatever, it was an awesome idea, it. Yeah, so yeah, definitely we helped each other. 100% brutal.
Yeah,
honesty.
It's honest. I won't say brutal all the time, but we're definitely honest with each other. We're definitely honest with each other but we try the ideas to see if they work and what doesn't work. And then the same thing when we go out to the play test and have other individuals play it, we're sitting there listening to what they have to say.
Oh, that's true.
And writing down all their comments. So when we get back home, any suggestions that were made to us, we'll sit down and try them out together. So it makes it easier to replay test what and the advice that were given to us as soon as we go home, being able to be with each other and see if that's going to work or not, and scratch off any ideas that were previous provided to us by other individuals.
Yeah, that was fun. I like when we did that.
Yeah, I think it's also important if the two of you are kind of monitoring who's giving the feedback, you'll get a different vibe off the same person. as in you'll come back and you'll say, well, that person seemed to really enjoy it. And it's like, do you think so? Because they did say about, kind of X, Y, and Z. So I think it allows you to kind of maybe, you have, you get different viewpoints from different people over what you think, they kind of thought. And I think that can help with, kind of putting ideas together, and when you're going back over the kind of the feedback session as well. Did you end up stripping stuff out? I mean, were you the point where you kind of went, right, we've got enough ideas, we've almost got enough ideas that we could actually fill the basement and take up more space than what we've got in the games downstairs? But did you end up kind of stripping stuff back and taking stuff out in order to kind of make the game flow better, or play to a better within a better time frame and stuff like that?
There was one thing that we definitely changed, not quite took out, but changed how it worked, which was technically the spill cards. Before we used to have, I think you used to like roll a die, and then the opponent would just choose which drink they would spill, I believe, and it was kind of weird and basic. I don't know. And then we decided to maybe do a spill marble, a spill die, but that made no sense either. And then we decided to maybe, what if we had to spill cards to make it more fun and specific towards a drink or a color marble and a color ingredient, and that definitely evolved throughout the game, making it more fun and more, I guess not strategic, but I don't know, more to the point, I guess. It's just more focused of I can't think, a mechanism, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then another situation was pretty much how you were able to select your drinks. Originally, we used to have like a menu. Like if you went to the bar, you had that little menu standing up, and you could pull it. So what happened? We used to have 2 dice in the game, or we'd still do. But you roll both dice, and whatever number came up, you would look at that menu and see where your drink order was going to be. Trying to instill that, okay, there's a customer in the game, so you're not really able to pick what you want, but that's what we're trying to do. But the problem with that is that slowed down the game so much, because you had to sit there and wait for the person, then you pick your things. And we tried it didn't work. I mean, it was really nice on the table to see it there, but it just slowed down the game. So at that point, we just allow players to choose between 3 to 4 drinks of their choice and add them to their player board, given you don't know what the value is going to be, but you have to choose the drinks that you're going to play. So that alone started cutting down the time of the game. And a lot of the changes was to try to pick up the pace of the game a little bit. And like, given the first time you play it may take about an hour, a little bit over an hour to play it. But once you start playing it and you learn all the rules, the pace of the game starts to pick up a lot more.
Okay. In terms of the game itself, I mean, because, we're half an hour in, we still haven't actually talked about the gameplay, which is probably the norm. If we're talking about playing through a round, what would I expect to be doing if I was playing a round of On the Rocks? And you can argue amongst yourself who's going to answer that. I will just sit back and enjoy the bickering.
Oh, I'll take this one this time.
Okay.
So pretty much, if you look on our campaign, you'll see that we actually have a player guide that pretty much walks you through your steps of what you're going to do. So first thing as a player, you're going to check first if you have any complaints, and what complaints are cards that you receive from your tips. The tips have a pass, a keep, and a share card, so there's benefits to those. But if you receive the pass card from another player, that means you're going to end up pretty much losing marbles off of your player board. So you'll be checking that first. Second, you'll roll your dice. So based off of that, the amount you have on your dice is how many marbles you're going to be drafting from the bag. So let's say you selected 5, or you got 5. So you'll draft 5 marbles from the bag. At that point, you're going to look at the marbles in your hand, see what bowls that are out there with the marbles in there already, and see what's going to benefit you the most. So you want to make sure that the marbles you place down are going to fall into the bowl that you want. So you're going to go around, like as Mikhaila, and work your way around in a clockwise pattern and drop a marble in one bowl at a time. So you want to make sure that you get the exact ingredients you need that's going to benefit you. After that, you're going to select one of those bowls that are on the board, and you're going to take those ingredients inside the cup and then add them to your player board. And then it's going to coincide with whatever you have on your recipe cards that you selected earlier in the game. So you'll see, let's say if one recipe called for 4 different marbles, you'll have one that has 2 blues, 1 yellow, 1 red. So you want to make sure that you get those ingredients added to those boards to be able to complete that drink. So once that drink is completed, that drink has a value on it, so that will be added to your end game score at the end of the game. After that, after you place the marbles, you'll see if you have any additional marbles, you will add them to an area that's called extra ingredients. So you will add those to those areas. So just in case something happened to one of your drinks that maybe it was spilled previously, you could use those extra ingredients to replace those marbles or add them to your board on a later round if needed. And then if you had any special marbles, there's really two special marbles in the game, which is the gold marble, which we're calling the premium marble, and the black marble, which is the spill marble. So with the gold marble, it allows you to choose 2 ingredients of your choice out of the player bag that you can add to your player board to help you complete that drink or any drinks. And you can place them anywhere you want on the board, so it doesn't have to go directly to one. You could actually spread them out across the board. And then the black marble, which causes you have to pull from the spill deck, and based off of what's on the card, tells you what you're going to be spilling from your player board. So it's pretty simple, just those steps. But that's what you do on a standard turn. And then from there, you will pass the bag over to the next player, and then allow them to take their turn. But you want to continue making sure that when, like, even in the bowl placement, you want to make sure that you're you're looking at it strategically and not placing things in bowls that you think other players ahead, like they're going to come after you, are going to take, because you want to make sure that they don't complete their drinks. And with the gold and black marble, those were like I said, those are the special marbles. So when those are placed into the bowls, you want to make sure that you place those into the bowls that you feel that's going to benefit you the most. So as let's say with the spill marble, you may want to put that in the bowl that has the second most marbles, that slow down other individuals from wanting to take that, because at that point they're going to have to take a bowl that has a spill marble in it and then take a spill with it. So they're going to avoid that bowl. So there's some strategy to this game, and it's surprising once you start playing it. You'll see that you'll actually get analysis paralysis at some points trying to figure out what you want to do.
Me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. But yeah, we were playing as mixologists, trying to complete a few drinks over the course of 3 rounds. Basically, the one who makes the most tips and income at the end of the game wins.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't get to the tip part. Sorry, I kind of jumped in there. My bad.
No, it's fine.
That's fine. No, you're allowed.
Yeah, because you press a button, I'm allowed to do whatever I want now.
Oh, well, here we go. See,
use
ding,
one.
Ding, ding.
Ding.
The button had nothing to do with it.
That's allowed. You know, that's lucky. You know, I wondered. I was like going, how long do I have to wait before the press the button thing comes up? And you didn't disappoint.
Yeah, but
in terms of creating noise, in terms of getting the word out there, in terms of, just making people aware that the game exists, how have you found kind of that being kind of like, getting yourself started and making kind of people aware, and this nonsense that is social media and all that thing? Did you have a strategy for that, or has that been a kind of a learn it as you go kind of situation?
No, I mean I read Jamie Stegmar's book previously, and how to start promoting. He recommends to start promoting your game pretty much 90 days in advance. Well, we start promoting our game almost a year in advance, but the game was still being developed, and at first I was on Instagram trying to find followers on there, and then I started joining the groups on Facebook and getting involved more with the community at the time, because I didn't know Facebook actually had such large groups at that time. And then I've been pretty involved in, talking about other people's projects and giving suggestions, and just talking about board games that we've played and discussing board games that other people are playing that they post. And I just did my best to be involved with the community over the past year. And the same thing with Christina. She's on there all the time chatting with the girls in the female group.
Not as much as late, though.
Yeah.
A lot to do. A lot to do both. I can't do it all.
Yeah. But promotion-wise, that's what we've tried to do at first, is just get involved with the groups, chat with everybody, and just let people see who we are. So I used to get on almost every single day, bring up subject. We'll talk about different things that could happen. Example, like, there's a fire that breaks out in your house. Which board game you got to save? Things like that. And just to see the different comments of people. And then, you have individuals who be like, well, I have a fire safety box and it holds all my games, so they're all going to be safe. I'm like, just pick one. And
it's like pick one or I set fire to you, basically.
Yeah, so you have those individuals like, well, I'm going to save my dog, and not why would I save the board games? Like, okay, we didn't have to go there. We're trying to keep this simple.
There's always one in these groups, as you are aware. There is always going to be kind of one of these people that just needs to take it far too far. And to be honest, it's usually me. I'll be, even if I didn't have a dog, I'd probably go, I'll save my dog. That's
so.
That's
Richard, you're admitting that you're a troll.
Week in a row.
Are you admitting that you're a troll, Richard?
It's better than being a wizard. And look, listen, I didn't press the button, Michael. If we're going there. Okay.
I was going so hard that one, sorry.
It was shiny. I'm sorry.
It was shiny.
It was so shiny.
I know, it was so shiny. It's like a moth to a flame. But on the other side of it, was there a bit of soul searching when you decided to kind of cancel the project? Was it a case, was there discussions to say, look, do we walk away from this? Is this just something that's not going to happen? Or was it a case that you kind of went, no, this is going to happen. We have to come back and start again, kind of thing? Had you made your decision relatively quickly just after you made the decision to kind of cancel the funding? Or was it a case of, well, is this actually going to happen here? Or is this just, an idea that we think is really good, but, other people aren't so convinced by?
Well, that definitely was something we were going to come back to. Even right before we canceled, we even talked to, we already talked to our previous backers, and, I wrote them and even chatted a few of them and let them know that, look, this is what we're planning on do. We feel that we may have been able to hit our goal at that time, the first time, but we felt that there was opportunity to save money for the backers, and it was able to help us out. By that time, because when I was in chats with one of the manufacturers, and they were able to actually help us get a better price on the bowls for the game, because that was a pretty pricey part. The player boards were able to come down in price, so we really want to do what we can to try to save some money for everybody, and it's helped. We were able to bring the price down almost $10.
Reduced like the sizes of some things. The player board I reduced a little bit to see if that would help, and it did. Thank God. Yeah. So without losing too much aesthetic about it, so it was perfect.
Yeah, the game pretty much looks exactly the same. Just small things like in the previous one we had the back of the player board because when our player board, when you fold it up, it looks like a menu. But previously it had all this extra artwork on the back, and we felt that it wasn't needed. And by doing that saved a couple cents on the board itself, because now it's just a black backing with just the logo on it compared to like a full coloring, because ink's expensive. So that helped us bring the price down. So a bunch of little small changes has helped a lot. And but to get back to your question, yeah, there was no doubt we were to come back and relaunch it. Right when we canceled it, we pretty much had a date within a couple days, and said that we're going to come back October 1st, but ended up being
September 30th. God.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, that was funny. It's like nothing happened. It's like nothing happened. That was like yesterday.
I know. Okay.
Ridiculous.
It was meant to happen.
I guess.
My finger slipped.
It's the fate. It's the fate. You're allowed to make a mistake in your life. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's allowed.
Yeah. What Richard said.
You're taking his side now? What's happening right now?
But it's an allowed thing. It's an allowed thing. Let's put it to one side just now, kind of thing. That's it. In terms of going forward, then, has this kind of sparked something under the two of you to kind of like create other games. I mean, is there now a folder or several folders which has got kind of labels down the side with games on them that you're looking at kind of creating yourselves? And are you looking at creating them together, or do you kind of go away and come up with your own ideas and then say, right, this is what I'd like to work on, or this is what I'd like us to kind of work on going forward?
We have a lot of games that we want to make. We have this thing called Theming Tuesdays that we talk about, and basically just like sit down and just kind of during dinner and just record ourselves just talking about what games we could make. Some are horrible and some are pretty good. But out of probably the 50 we thought of, we came with 2 really good ones that we really want to produce and start making like now, but we can't. We're currently in a Kickstarter. But yeah, we have 2 great ones. We wanted to kind of do maybe a mini bar version of On the Rocks, more of a travel kind of theme, just to make like a smaller version of this game. And then a really cool card game that we wanted to do more of kind of like a battling of some sort. I don't want to divulge too much information, but we have really cool ideas that we're really excited for. But that one's going to require a lot of art, so that might take a little longer to get to. Yeah. But we're excited.
Yeah, but there's definitely a few other games that we definitely would like to use, and it's been fun. And I guess you could look at like Pixar when they have actually sat down. Remember that one time that like when you watch the documentary, there was a time where the Pixar artists all sat down at a restaurant and they came up with all their ideas at one time for Toy Story, WALL-E, all of them. Like it was they came up with all those ideas. So that's pretty much like, the love of Disney that we have. Like, we're like, you know what, well, let's take that time where we just sit back and just think about different ideas and different themes, different mechanics, see what may work and write things down. And we sketch up some ideas of how things will work. And yeah, so we definitely have a lot of ideas, but we need to get them out and start playtesting them eventually.
Yeah, playtesting is number 1.
Yeah.
Would you approach publishers? I mean, once this gets funded, would you go and say, right, okay, with the other ideas, maybe not go down the Kickstarter route, but maybe consider kind of pitching to kind of publishers? Because as I say, there is a noise about the game. There's a lot of people that I would say are fairly influential on the 4 Facebook groups that were kind of like bigging you guys up. Then you're saying you folk have to look at this project because it looks really, really interesting. Has that given you the confidence to say, well, maybe the next game, maybe let's take maybe one game to Kickstarter and let's maybe put another game at the foot of like a publisher and see if we can pitch to a couple of publishers and see if they'll sign it instead, kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, over the past year, after being a part of these Facebook groups, I've been in talks with a lot of other publishers, just being friends with them, just trying to friend them and get advice of them of how to manage things, and being able to chat with these individuals. I would love one day to be for us to actually come up with some ideas, and I don't want to say just pitch it to them, but I would like to co-design a game with some of these publishers. Yeah. That's what I would like to do, is actually team up with them. I'm not sure if I could give up the entire project and let somebody just take it. That would be hard, because since we're both like artists and want to have control, it's going to be hard just to let go of a game and see what somebody does with it after they develop it. But I guess it's in the realm. If we have a good idea and we feel that it doesn't fit the type of games that we do, maybe it could be something that we can pitch to somebody.
Because timing, it takes a lot of time to create a game. Like, I don't know if people realize it, but it really does. It took over a year and a half to do this, and a lot of sleepless nights just to create this game. So yeah, I think if time was an issue, I think it actually would be really good to maybe give somebody an idea and let them run with it.
You win.
If I'm approaching the bar and I want to, buy myself a couple of On the Rocks, how much money am I going to have to slip the bartender in order to pick up a copy?
Oh, right now, On the Rocks is actually going for $45. And then we have like a very a larger one, which is a $500 pledge level, which is if you back us in, you pretty much will be considered like a founder of On the Rocks, of PenTree Games. And those individuals would actually get the game, a custom insert created by Print and Play 3D, as well as pretty much receiving every single game that we come out with from here on out. So we had 10 of those slots, and right now I think we have 5 of them already taken. So which is nice. So these individuals will get our games from here on out, no matter what, for free, and they don't even have to pay for shipping. So, but this is what we want to do for people who are willing to trust us and help us move forward into the future. Because as much money as we get into our hands now, it allows us to try to to do things that we want to do in the game industry, and then be able to even get reviews for some more games in the future. Because that's one of the things now is that we wish that we would have been able to get more reviews, but unfortunately, financially, some of these we just couldn't afford to get reviews by some of the top people that said they were willing to take it on. But I just personally, we just didn't have the additional funds to be able to manage that. So we're hoping that these larger tiers will help us out to be able to do and get these larger reviewers on with us to help us promote our game. Because I feel that if we would have been able to get the super large reviewers, the game would have funded probably on the first day.
Yeah. But I mean, it's tracking to do quite well and get there and kind of fund, and it looks kind of interesting, and it's tactile, and it's got marbles, which for a lot of people is a kind of an instant win. For people who have listened along tonight and they want to be kind of following you guys, checking out what's happening with the campaign and everything like that, where do you exist on the internet webs? Well,
we're pretty much everywhere right now. So on Facebook, you can find us directly by our names, Michael Pittre and Christina Pittre. We have PenTree Games, a Facebook group. We have the On the Rocks community that's going on right now. On Instagram, you can find us under PenTree Games. On Twitter, same, you can find us under PenTree Games. Board Game Geek, you'll be able to find On the Rocks there. So if you want to take a look at it, see some of the reviews that are on there, please like the page if you're interested in it. And then you'll find us on Kickstarter for On the Rocks. And hopefully you guys enjoyed what you heard today, and hopefully you back us.
Our personal website too. It's PenTreeGames.com.
That too. Our personal website.
Our personal website, yeah.
There you go. Cool. What we'll do is we'll make sure that we put all the links in the show notes so that we've got notes to show. If you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, just go to the internet, go to the Googles, search We're Not Wizards, and you'll find us in all the different kind of places, worn out places like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and our website. And we've been doing quite a bit of writing on our blog, which is we'renotwizards.blogspot.com. You can email us if you want to talk to us about the podcast. You can email us on podcast@we'renotwizards.com or magic@we'renotwizards.com. If you've got anything else you want to share or ask us. If you've liked what you've listened to tonight, please consider dropping us a subscription on your podcast catcher of choice, whether it has the word cast in it, or whether it has the word pod in it, or whether it's got neither in it, like Spreaker. If you like us even more than that, jump onto Apple Podcasts and give us a rating or a review and a subscription. If you are going to be giving us a rating or a review, under no circumstances give us 10 stars, because it will make us big-headed. But at the same time, please stay away from giving us 1 star, because we will end up like, the guy at the bar who's had a hard life, who's sipping on the sipping whiskey, crying away, mascara running down his face and questioning his life choices. Give us something in the middle, like a 5, because it's average. We're just a little bit average. But the people who have not been average tonight, I give you the wonderful, fantastic Christina and Michael Pittre. Thank you very, very much for coming on.
Thank you for having us so
Richard.
much.
There's only 2 more things to do. The first thing is to remember that we're many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards?
No, but I wish I was yesterday.
Don't even start. No. Just that last, I don't know if you're like a non-wizard or potentially a grave digger with that little last dig.
No way, I'm not a wizard.
That you gave in there. What about you, Michael? Are you a wizard?
I am not a wizard.
Definitely not.
Not a wizard.
Fantastic. And the other thing is to say goodbye. So, say goodbye, Michael.
Bye, guys.
Say goodbye, Christina.
Goodbye, Christina. Sorry. Goodbye.
And that's fine. And it's goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll sixes, and just have one. Stay for one more. Go on. I'll get a glass. I'll get you some ice. What's your tipple? What is it you want? Oh, you sure you don't want ice? Or do you not want ice? Oh, maybe you want On the Rocks then. But until the next time, goodbye.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.